Certainly, the industry is going through a transition. We've had prices have dropped pretty substantially in the crop industry, particularly in the crop side of the industry. Of course, that's a big benefit to the animal side of the industry, so we get some trade-offs between what happens in the crop side versus what happens in the animal side. But the relatively large drop in crop prices certainly has some companies thinking about how they want to manage their budgets moving forward. Often the trade-off is, do we invest in our people or not invest in our people? Should we cut back on our learning and development in our personnel? My take on that is that I think it's an easy thing to do, to say, oh, let's cut back on our budgets and not invest in our people. But I think it's a pretty short-sighted view. If your company can think about people not as an expense item on an income statement, which is of course that's where we do it, we put it on the income statement and from a finance perspective, so we treat it like it's a cost, but really people are our asset. In fact, they're our number one asset most of the time. And what we do as a company to grow and thrive and be positioned to be successful even as markets turn up is we're always investing in the right kinds of assets. And so if we begin to think more of our people as really an asset like would be on the balance sheet, we would make those investments to position ourselves, because it's a cyclical industry. Yeah, we're going to go through a time here where prices are going to be lower for crops, and that's going to maybe take away some of the margin for a few years, but then it's a cyclical industry, it's going to come back. Well, what we want to do is work through the cycles and continue to invest in our assets. And if we believe our people are our number one asset, that seems to me like the last place we'd want to be cutting back, right? In terms of where we cut back on our budgets. But again, that's not an easy thing to do, because the easy thing to do is to say, well, one of the line items on our income statement that determines our margins and our profitability is people, and for many of us in this industry, it's probably the largest expense. And so it's an easy one to look at, say, can we cut the expenses here, not invest so much in the people or learning and development. But it's a short-sighted view, and the long-term view is to say investing in your people is what makes you better. Certainly some of the companies that we work with are visiting with us about this now, and they're recognizing that this is a change in the marketplace that changes the nature of competition, and that rather than going into a bunker and trying to be defensive, they're saying, how do we position our people to be better capable of handling a different market environment, one where some would say, for example, it's been in an easy environment in the crop inputs world for the last 3 or 4 years. It's been easy to take an order on a new technology. Farmers will adopt new technologies quickly because there's good margins here, and so it's easy. Now maybe they're going to be a little less willing to adopt those technologies, and a little bit less willing to try the higher valued products that create for us agribusiness companies a little bit higher margin. They're going to be a little more hesitant. Okay, well, how do we prepare our sales force, for example, to deal with a marketplace that's not as easily accepting of these newer technologies? Or how do we help position our marketing teams so that they're better prepared to describe the features and benefits of the new products, or position those products differently in the marketplace so that they can show value that the farmer would be willing to invest in even in a downturn. So these are all based on investments in people to make them better prepared for a change in the marketplace.